finally, we come to the last session. Last but not least, we meet the Gen Z, right? And this is the generation born after 1996 that will influence travel, both as workers and travelers. And that's why we have them towards the end of this to finish our road trip. And we're going to speed through this. We have Anindo from Yale-NUS. We have James Ong from Nanyang Technological University. And then we have Sarah Mathew from the Singapore Management University. So, hello, thank you for standing by and holding the fort for so long. And we're going to make this a really speedy trip. And since Gen Z is supposed to have the shortest attention span, all your answers must be less in 15 seconds. Okay, so let's start. In a TikTok moment, describe yourself to our audience. Let's go with you, Sandra.
Okay, so hi, I'm Sandra, and I've just completed my third year in Singapore Management University. I'm currently pursuing a degree in information systems, majoring in business analytics. Yeah, so I love arts and culture, photography, and music. And pre-COVID, I was quite an avid traveler as well. Yeah.
Okay, Anindo.
So hello, everyone. I'm Anindo. I'm a senior at Yale-NUS College here in Singapore, majoring in economics and minoring in the life sciences. I was born in Bangladesh. I grew up in Finland. So traveling has been a very natural part of my life, and I'm quite excited to talk about it here today.
Fantastic. James.
Yeah, all right. Hi, guys. I'm James, currently studying in Nanyang Technological University. So yeah, I also currently work in the growth department of PACE, which is a fintech startup using buy now, pay later to democratize credit and payments. And, obviously I love to travel as well.
Okay, next question. Has COVID made you think differently about life? Anindo, we start with you.
Yeah, certainly. As a young person, life is often about, pursuing the next great opportunity. But I think COVID's really taught me to cherish my time with my family, who I haven't seen in over a year. So the moments we can create together, I really cherish. So yeah, that's.
Sandra.
I think same as Anindo, right? So I think COVID kind of forced me to slow down, take a step back, and really reprioritize what I value in life. Yeah, so it's not that I don't believe that I should work hard and that I should always do my best in whatever I pursue. But I think COVID has taught me that at every milestone that I reach in life, I should really think about what I value at that point of time and prioritize those things. Yeah.
Okay, James.
Yeah, I think for me, what COVID really made me realize is that we cannot live in this crisis forever, right? We need to redefine normal. And COVID definitely brought about this VUCA environment, but honestly, I don't really think it has changed much for me personally.
Okay, but has it made you think differently about career? And so, Anindo, how has it made you think differently about your career?
Well, as opposed to differently, I think it's reinforced old beliefs. So I'm a generalist by my background. I have a liberal arts education, and I've mainly worked in management consulting. And I've done so because I believe in the future, generalist skill sets will be very valuable in the economy as we face disruption. And I think COVID's kind of proven that right because, and oftentimes people with very specific skill sets have had their lives uprooted. So reinforced rather.
Right. And you feel like, career planning is kind of overrated during COVID anyway, right, Anindo?
Right. Yeah, it's more about skills as opposed to a specific career, perhaps. Yeah.
Right. Sandra, what about you?
I think, with circuit breaker last year and, the partial lockdown that we're currently experiencing now, the new normal is working from home, right? So I think it has kind of changed my perspective on how we work and how that's going to impact the future as well. Yeah, and last year as I was embarking on different internships, I was a bit disappointed that, I couldn't really get the complete experience, right? But I quickly realized that the complete experience is probably going to change. Yeah, and this new normal that we are experiencing now is probably, COVID is probably not behind this necessarily, but I think it was simply a catalyst and presented to us what was probably already going to happen in the future. Yeah.
All right. How about you, James?
For career-wise, I think two parts, right? First is the general trajectory and then the type of opportunities. So for a general trajectory, I think no, right? I'm still very keen in innovation and technologies for a better world. I think what is different though for me is really the options available, right? COVID has really opened up, a lot of possibilities. Like for example, before COVID, no one would even consider remote working, or very few people would. And now it's something that many companies practice, right? So I think it's more of opening up a lot more opportunities for me.
Okay, so very positive. What about how has it made you think differently about travel, as travelers, given that you can't travel at this moment? So Sandra, let's go to you.
I think not so much, apart from the fact that I think travel might not be as fluid in the next few years because, of the pandemic, right? But my hope is that things do go back to normal after a while so that I, along with many others, can finally resume checking things off my bucket list.
Yeah, we are with you, Sandra, on that. Anindo, what about you? I know you used to travel a lot. So what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I used to travel all the time with my family and friends, which I cannot do now, unfortunately. But just to echo what James stated about remote working, I think we can really leverage upon that, and in the future have more opportunities to travel. So have vacation, work hybrids. So I'm quite hopeful about the future of travel after COVID.
All right, James, what about you?
Yeah, I think exactly what Anindo touched upon. I mean, I miss traveling, right? Which Gen Z person doesn't, right? And I guess the fact that you can't do it, the more you want it, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
I think our industry is kind of like, just relying on this sort of pent up demand from travelers like you, that the minute you can, you're off the gates, right? So, okay, now I'm going to move on to career questions. And, let's talk about the work that you've done and what you've learned from it. So let's start with you, Sandra.
Okay, so I'm currently working as an internet banking channel analyst at DBS. So it's more of a UI UX project management role. But in the past, I've worked more like marketing specific roles in many different industries. Yeah, so I think just to keep my answer a bit succinct, I think mentorship is a very big part of how I learn as well. So I think one thing I learned is that as much as it's important for me to glean from the people above me, my supervisors, my bosses, at the same time, it's important for me to also take up the initiative to ask and learn and fail in the process as well, because that's all part of growing. Yeah.
All right. So Anindo, I go to you, and you just wrote a really good article for WiT, which appeared this week. It's titled "The Carbon Conundrum of a Gen Z Global System," and your father works in the field of sustainability in Finland. So will you gravitate towards that field as a result, or of your own choosing?
Well, I'd say that my father certainly helped me explore this field, but I think the motivation is more intrinsic, and it came about essentially when I realized, climate change is probably the biggest issue facing humanity, and I certainly want to, engage towards activities that allow me to be a part of the solution towards that. So, yeah, I think my father certainly helped me, explore that.
Yeah, it was interesting having Johnny Thorson earlier talking about, setting personal carbon goals, and that seems and how we can now measure our carbon footprint, and the more measurements that we can take, the more it will empower you as travelers. So James, both your parents work in hospitality, and you're currently an intern in a fintech company. So what's your view of travel tech as a career choice?
Wow. If the right opportunity arises, definitely, right? Innovation and travel, two things I love. One thing I've actually realized though is that the tech industry does not actually disrupt travel, but rather enables it. So, as things go on, when we go back to traveling, I'll be really especially keen to see how, the tourism travel industry becomes more tech enabled. And yeah, definitely, I do see myself, going in the industry should the right opportunities arise.
Okay, so we've heard today a lot about, good people attract good people, right? So let's move on to the question about leaders. What do you expect from the leader you choose to work with, Sandra?
I think I touched upon it about just now in my previous answer, but I think mentorship is something that I look out for, and really the chance to get my hands dirty. Yeah, because I think that indicates that the leader that I choose to work with trusts me and my capabilities and allows me to have that space to grow and learn as well. Yeah.
Okay, Anindo.
Well, to build upon what Sandra said, it's certainly a leader who gives ownership over tasks. But I think at a more fundamental level, it's someone who truly believes in stakeholder alignment and value creation. And with that, I mean, a business leader who considers both profits and purpose. And that's something I think is important from the person I will work with.
Okay, James.
Yeah, I think, the two of Anindo and Sandra have already mentioned it. It's really just this balance of autonomy and guidance, right? So the autonomy in the sense of giving me the opportunities to try and, screw up on my own. and at the same time the proper guidance to shape my thinking and understanding of the issues at hand.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah.
So allowing you to fail and then, but at the same time, pick you up and guide you. Okay. So what do you expect from the company that you choose to work with? And Sandra?
I think for me, having a strong company or corporate culture that I can identify with is important, because I think it makes it so much easier to find like-minded individuals, makes it a lot easier to work with people on projects as well. Yeah, so I think that's something that I look out for.
Okay, Anindo.
Yeah, well, aside from the leader, it's about what the company does, the job you do, and the rewards one gets, right? And in terms of a company, it has to be one that has the vision to disrupt the way things are currently being done in this specific industry. And I really want to work in an organization that allows for innovation and creativity amongst its employees and effectively rewards this and incentivizes this. So that's
right. So you want to be at the leading edge of change, right? So James, the word you use is impact.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, two things, right? Impact and challenge, right? So I think impact are very broad, but at the end of the day, I just want to know that my work has empowered or enabled others, right? And challenging in the sense that especially in like tech roles, right? We join the industry because we want a challenge, right? And I think those are two things that are very important for me, but on a very high level, of course.
Okay, so I need a one-word answer for the next one. Okay. If you could pick someone you wish to work for right now, who would it be? Anindo.
Elon Musk.
Okay. James.
Myself, actually.
Okay. Sandra.
I'm not so much of a person, but Google.
Okay. All right. So now, before we move on to travel questions, I just want to do some audience polling at this time, right? And the question to the audience is, does Gen Z give you hope about the future? A, yes, they seem more socially, environmentally conscious. B, COVID has thrown up lessons of a lifetime, so they have grown up faster than any generation. C, not really. It's like every generation, always so much promise, but always disappointing. All right. So we will have that poll, and then I will ask you now on a piece of Amadeus research, right, that states that 6 traveler tribes will shape global travel in 2030. Okay, and these are the tribes: simplicity searchers, reward hunters, social capital seekers, cultural purists, ethical travelers, and obligation meters. So what are you? None of the above? Or if you had to create your own tribe, what would it be? So let's go to Anindo.
I think it would have to be a mix of cultural purist and ethical traveler, because for me, travel has never been an escape, but it's a very intentional approach to learning about a new culture, and that's what invigorates me. And in doing so, I don't want to cause externalities, right, in the form of the environment or harming the local community. So yeah, a mix of the two, I'd say.
Okay, Sandra?
Slightly different from Anindo, right? But I would be a mix of reward hunters and cultural purists. Like, I love exploring and immersing myself in different cultures, but I think at the same time, I also love to, relax, unwind, and, splurge a bit on, when I'm on vacation. Yeah.
Yeah. So you want the best of both worlds, kind of. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you? What about you, James?
Personally, I don't really think I have one. I see one that really strongly resonates with me. To be honest, I see myself wearing many different hats depending on the situation. If I had to choose one right now, I'll probably be social capital seeker. But I can see myself moving to like an ethical traveler or reward hunter kind of lifestyle, right? Depending on the situation at hand.
Okay, so the audience has spoken that you give them hope about the future because COVID has thrown up lessons for a lifetime, and your generation is being forged by fire. So you emerge stronger after this. Okay, so now we talk about an Expedia study that says that your generation is more open to influence and inspiration than other generations. So a quick one, is it true or false? Let's go to Anindo.
True.
True. Okay. Sandra.
True as well.
Okay. James.
Yeah, I think, I'll say mostly true.
Okay.
I do feel that,
go on.
Yeah, I do feel that, our generation forms stronger opinions on certain ideas because of the vast information available. But I don't think it's only limited to our generation, to be honest, because, everyone is exposed to the same, information.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go to the last poll of the evening. And it's like, what do you have to do to attract and keep Gen Z customers? Is it to sell sustainability? Is it to sell price? Is it to sell adventure? Is it to sell fun and parties? Or is it to sell love, matchmaking? All right, so we'll wait to hear from the audience on that. So talking about your influencers, so who or what influences you? Sandra.
I think there are many things that influence me, but I think if I had to pinpoint something, it would be music, because I think it has been a huge part of my life ever since I was growing up. And I think you could see from the evolution of music that it kind of mirrors what happens, what goes on in the world, right? So I think that's what influences me. Takes a very different take on.
I can tell that you're very passionate about music, Sandra. So Anindo.
Perhaps it's a bit of a cop-out answer, but it has to be my parents, because I think they persevered a lot to sort of move to a foreign country from theirs to pursue both their professional and their personal goals while raising me. So I think they really influenced me, and they also inspire me. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think travel can do better for your generation? Let's go to James.
I think social media really influences how and why we travel. And it really has the potential to like make us go off the beaten tracks and like discover new opportunities.
Okay, so give you courage to venture. So Anindo,
well,
what can we do better?
I think on one hand, our generation really seeks wanderlust, but we also care about sustainability, as you pointed out. And I think currently we're at an inflection point where we really need to reconcile between these two things. And I'm quite confident that we can travel more sustainably over time, because we are willing to fund things like sustainable aviation fuel or better options of destinations.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hopeful.
Okay, Sandra.
I think, a lot of companies right now, they're thinking of how to improve customer experience. And I think personalization and customization is, the way to go, right? And on that note, I think travel advisors would be something great, right? Like a concept similar to like financial advisors. Like they don't necessarily have to create like the ideal itinerary, right? But they could be there to advise customers or clients based on what they prefer, what is their budget, what their interests are, so on and so forth. Because this makes it less time consuming and less tedious for me as a traveler. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So we skip to advice. What's the best advice that your parents gave you, Anindo, given that you feel like they influence you a lot? So what is the best advice?
Well, from a young age, they taught me to evaluate my big decisions as to whether it brings me closer or further to being like most fulfilled. And when I was young, it's a perplexing proposition. But as I've grown older, I think the advice has really held its own.
All right, Sandra.
I think one thing my parents always stressed is that to stay true to what I believe in and to evaluate things with critical thinking. Yeah, I think especially at the rate at which technology is advancing, right? We are always bombarded with so much information. Yeah, and what you believe in, the values you stick by, the way you process information is really like a make it or break it. Yeah, so this has definitely helped me to make better decisions and be more digitally responsible as well.
Okay, James?
Well, I think for me, especially during this whole COVID period where a lot of people are shouting many different things on the internet, right? I think one thing they really taught me was that getting angry at people's ignorance won't actually change it. I think it's something that I resonate a lot, especially during this period.
It's great advice. Now I'm going to flip it around and say best advice you gave your parents. So, Sandra.
I'm not too sure if my parents have actually taken my advice seriously, right? But I've told them rather informally that they should leave me to find my way in life. Yeah, I think it's natural for parents to not want to see their children fail. Yeah, but I think over the years, my parents have slowly started to see for themselves that, the successes or the failures that I did help to shape me to who I become and who I eventually am. Yeah, so in a good way. So I think I've told them that, the initial and short-term discomfort of failures, they are worth it. Yeah.
Okay, to accept your failures. Okay, Anindo.
Keep an open mind as times change. That's something you tell to people of older generations sometimes, and I certainly do that to my parents. So yeah, that.
Okay, all right, we'll try. James.
I think for me, it's who, not how, right? So we live in this age of outsourcing, right? You don't have to solve every problem by yourself. You just need to know who can solve it for you.
Right, and
trust
others.
That I live by.
Okay, trust others. So actually to that question where we ask people, what do you have to do to attract and keep Gen Z customers. The first response was to sell adventure, followed by sustainability. So I think you guys did a convincing job. You know, you still want adventure, but at the same time, you want it to be sustainable because you want to make an impact in the world and in your career. So thank you so much for, you know, being the last on our road trip and to finish our road trip on such a great note. And it really gives us hope for the future. So thank you, Anindo. Thank you, Sandra. And thank you, James.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.